they sing. No, most of you didn't even see a thing. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is an urgent update. We're actually going to hit you with a full set of updates about what is going on. We researched all day to put this together to make sure that it was as close to accurate and non-biased as possible. So we're going to talk about all of that. We are independent, so all of our work and everything that we do, again, is essentially not protected. We are on the bottom of the barrel as far as when you look at the mainstream. They, of course, get put at the very top. We are put at the very bottom. So if you do want to help us out, we have a ton of different resources for you guys, not only to protect yourself, but to support us at the same time. Go check out marfooglenews.com/EMP. Of course, all of these events that are going on right now, we've been talking about for years. This is because I believe once you see the patterns in what is happening, you don't have to be a prophet or have a crystal ball to see what's about to happen. Go over and check this out, because this is a device that can protect your cars, your trucks, your motorcycles, anything that runs, including your generators, your solar generators in the case of the Energy Flex 1500, and your home, RVs, and anything else that rolls or runs. This will ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it can fry your device, and that will protect you not only against EMP, electromagnetic pulse, but a CME or a Carrington-level event from the sun. Go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. You're going to get $50 off, and you will help support our independent news. All right, let's get into it. So first of all, we're going to go over a lot today. There's a full bibliography of all of the sources we used for today's show over at marfooglenews.com. And when you go over there, you'll see that it's very easy to navigate. Just go look for today's thumb, urgent message, or declared. Now, we might change that if that ends up getting like dinged or something. But otherwise, the show today, again, will be right there, and you'll be able to click it, and it will bring you to a full source list. Again, this has all of the information, plus there will be more that is updated. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam. Hello, Foo fam. I'm doing just fine. A little worried, though.
Yeah, so everybody is worried. And so normally there's some big events, and people usually I know when the general public is worried, because I get texts, I get emails, I get all sorts of messages that are way out of usual. Usually I get emails with like, hey, check out this YouTube video, or hey, I got this. Now we're getting messages asking, most of them asking my personal opinion. Hey, is this really it? Is this WW3? So we at least know that the general consensus from people is that this just started off something very, very big. Along with Russia and UKR, them going off on their thing, the threat of China and Taiwan, the threat of North Korea, the threat of all of this going on, Japan arming themselves, Australia and China doing their weird stuff, and then you of course have the Middle East. Now the Middle East, they have had tons of events going on. We always have tried to cover the tit for tat back and forths that have been going on there. As many people have totally forgot about it, now we're going to show you this is a replay of the same playbook. If you remember the beginning of Russia UKR, where everybody was putting their profile pics to a certain person, that is happening right now. That is happening with this. So there's a lot of things you can kind of see here, but what happened, right? And I think that it is very reflective in a quick survey that I did. This was a survey I did over on Twitter, over 1,000 votes, which I think Family Feud does 100. I asked, quick survey, did World War III just officially start? And I mean, I already think it started, but did it just get kind of declared right now today? And 60%, or right under 60%, said yes. 19.4% said no. And 21% says, I don't know. And I bet you those are the people that really don't follow that closely and probably don't realize how big that this is with, of course, these countries that are going on right now. What is happening, right? So to update that 21%, I do believe that something here was very much so pushed right into action right now. People have totally forgot about Russia and UKR, and now everybody is focused on this. Well, that's not a bad thing, because I believe this is part of a bigger picture thing, and this is something that what's crazy is this was a surprise attack, but yet we had people being told that they were going to be deployed 2 to 3 weeks ago to this area. So just to start off on another note, family friend of ours' son is 20 years old in the Navy, and essentially this same kid, I always ask, he's current in enlisted Navy, so I always ask, like, hey, what do you think is going on? Do you think we're going to go to war? I ask almost any military member I actually know in real life. I say, hey, what do you think is going on? Do you think it's going to happen? Do you think this is going on? What do you think about this? And this person, exactly the same person, said about 6 months ago, every single time I ask, oh, no, they hype it up. They totally over exaggerate what's really going on. And yeah, everything at base, there's no chatter about anything. As far as about 2 weeks ago, he told his father, you need to have cash, you need to have supplies. And he said that you need to have kind of a plan ready. Now, as far as that goes, this is the same kid that said, oh, no, this is all exaggerating. He is going to be getting deployed. He's getting deployed to a specific area. I'm not going to say that much, but I will say it is in the area of this, right? So, and he's not the only one. Once I mentioned a little bit something like this on Twitter, other folks came forward and said, yeah, the same thing. And I believe that a lot of these guys are told that they're part of a smaller group, like, oh, you're going to be a part of a group of 500. They can even put out an article saying there's going to be 250 or 500 going to this area, and they'll put it out publicly. So if you talk to one of these people and they go, oh, yeah, I'm getting deployed with 500 people, you go, oh, he's just one of those 500. Or you think that, and even if they're telling their friends and family, they go look it up and they find that. But there could be 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 being told that exact same thing. So when they get there, they're like, whoa, there's way more troops here than I thought there was. I thought we were a group of 500. Well, you are, and you are compartmentalized. And of course, for safety reasons, we didn't want to tell you that you're just one group of 500. And again, everybody was told that it was a group of 500. What gets me is the timing. So did they know that they were going to need to be in this area before this happened? That's my point. So what ended up happening in the first place? So Israel actually had a bunch of people pop in by trucks and by paragliders and essentially attack by surprise. Now, we have a piece, and you can go over to marfooglenews.com, and you can go over to the AP piece that we have right here. It kind of sums up the 5 things to really basically go down the line. It said that Israel caught unaware. They said it was a surprise attack. Saturday morning, it basically this whole thing kind of played out. It says, then, as now, Israelis had assumed that their intelligence services would be able to alert the army to any major attack or invasion well in advance. The colossal failure still haunts the legacy of the Prime Minister. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's about previous stuff. It says, okay, never mind. It's later on that it talks about it. So these guys in trucks, these guys in paragliders mobbed in. They had weapons. They basically took people hostage. There are so many videos of this, which, mind you, people have pointed out that there's more videos of this last 48 hours than there has been in pretty much all of the conflict over in UKR. And a lot of people think that that's a little bit odd. And the same place that has an Iron Dome system that has one of the best defense systems in the world, essentially some guys in a truck and paragliders ended up getting in and doing this much damage. There is information that even a police station, possibly 2, were taken, and that all of the police officers there might have been taken out. So there's a lot there, right? And as far as they launched missile after missile after missile after missile, you hear all sorts of different numbers on how much. You see videos of at least dozens being fired. Some numbers, some sources say up to thousands of missiles were just launched. And where were they launched from? Well, they said it was Hamas. And now we have updates that we'll talk about later, which is a second group that is also funded by Iran to the store. So we've got a lot of crazy stuff coming out as this goes out. So by the way, and everything is changing by the moment. We talked about the very, very, very beginning of this during our live show on Friday night. And of course, things are changing by the minute. So if you're watching this in 10 days, it's probably going to be outdated. But if you haven't seen any of this and you don't know what the heck's going on, many people think that World War III just officially started. It said, of course, they say unprecedented infiltration. Hamas claimed its fighters had taken several Israeli captive in the enclave, releasing videos of militants dragging people across the ground and standing over perished people. It's a huge escalation. It says a dangerous gamble by Hamas, and of course, what was the last one? It said that the whole place is basically there's a lot of areas that have been so-called taken over, and that they're trying to take these places back. Mainly, when you go over all of this, it does not look good. It does not look good for anybody, and many people think that the timing is probably one of the strangest things. Dex, do you want to talk about the intelligence agency blindsided? So they're saying it's a horrendous failure. A lot of people are just scratching their heads saying, how did they possibly miss this?
Okay, so let's just little frame of reference. This is the best intelligence agency in the Middle East, period, bar none. They have the most information. They have the most infiltration. They police the area, so much so that people don't like them because they do it. They know everything that's going on, but somehow they didn't know this. And I think the headline is the headline. It's what they're talking about. And the whole story just says, oh, well, they were caught off guard. They didn't know. But I think that's kind of the thing that everybody's sort of shocked about, is how on earth could they, being as, powerful and in touch with everything that's going on around them, because they live in such a dangerous area. They've been in such a dangerous state for decades that they've invested so heavily in intelligence that they had no clue. And I think a lot of people are asking that question, and it's rightfully so to ask that question. And mind you, even the US acted like we didn't know anything was going on. And our intelligence is probably just as good as theirs, even in their own region. So, yes, very, very much. A lot of people are questioning this. They call it a surprise, and a lot of folks don't really think that meshes with what should be happening.
And by the way, somebody said, I'm pretty sure it started Saturday, because we talked about the very beginning of it on Friday. Friday night for us was Saturday morning for them. So we actually, Dex, it was Friday night that we...
Yeah, it was late Friday our time. We were live when we started to cover this on our previous show. And yes, it was Saturday there. It was a holiday there. A matter of fact, somebody was asking about, thinking you meant paratroopers, when in reality it was paragliders, because you said paragliders. People were paragliding into a concert. People were in a desert, and the desert concert. Think of it like Burning Man or something, an event like that, but a version of that out there. And you see these paragliders come in, and you go, oh, cool, check it out, paragliders. But no, it's like all of a sudden they're not what you think. And everybody in that huge crowd is becoming a target, and lots of them became potential captives.
And just to show you because if you don't remember what paragliders are, they have a motor on them. They're essentially a seat. Oh, well, these aren't even paragliding. No, paramotors. And I was wrong too. These are paragliders, which could drop in from a plane or something. Paramotors were what actually happened. And I think a lot of people are just calling paramotor gliders, whatever you want to call them. They actually had motors on the back. So I was wrong too. So both of us are wrong. Paramotors. Yeah, that's what they're called. And these things were the ones. And I'm like, it's one or two guys each. I don't know how many, because the only thing I've seen is just like, I've only seen like one that I could think of. I know I've seen many videos or whatever. I don't know if those are all different people, how many of these things went in. Either way, all of this is almost a moot point, because what happened afterwards, right? What has been said since then? Israel's Netanyahu has said, we are at war. He has declared it. Everyone has, essentially his cabinet has been using words like, we just declared war. And he said, we are at war. So, I mean, that's essentially declaring we're at war. that is a declaration of war. If I'm not wrong, again, I would think that if our president said, we're at war with China, then it would pretty much be a declaration. Now, there's an up-to-date. In fact, this won't even load because it's literally updating as we go. And there's current numbers. We have this on our website as well. This is as of 7:34 p.m. Pacific or 5:34 a.m. Local time there in that country. So this actually shows the numbers. So we have attached that if you want to go over there and check that out. And as I told you, the Navy is moving in. And I can guarantee, even if it's not public yet, they say that they're moving warships, aircraft closer to Israel amid Hamas war. They I believe, are publicly saying that the ships that were already over in the Mediterranean in this area were moving closer. I can guarantee that there are local ships that are going to be there as well. And that's not public. The thing is they're going to announce. It's already been announced, and it isn't. I don't think it's even top secret. We're going to be sending a lot here, and what's crazy is this whole thing with Russia totally back burner now, and all of a sudden it's going to be this. And we're going to show you here in a second. This is already exploding across the country. There's protests in cities across the nation and across the world. There's actually multiple countries right now with people out in the streets, and both sides are coming out in droves. So there's already been fist fights and all sorts of things that have gone down after this. And we actually have a bunch of videos of that from around the world to show you here in just a minute. So it says the U.S. Navy is moving warships and aircraft closer to Israel in the aftermath of the unprecedented assault on the country from terror, a U.S. official tells Fox News. It says the United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin told Fox News in a statement that he directed the movement of the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier strike group to the Eastern Mediterranean after following detailed discussions with President J.B. about the attack on Is that has taken the lives of at least 600. It says the warships include the U.S. Navy aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford, the Ticonderoga class guided missile cruiser USS Normandy, as well as the Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyers USS Thomas Hudner, USS Ramage and Carney, and USS Roosevelt. So we have a huge chunk of our Navy there. Now, mind you, if we do end up going all in on this and supporting and everything else, which we already have at least $4 billion going there, $3.8 billion to this country, then we're really going to be spread thin. And if you've been following my show at all, we've been talking about how something like this, an event that would go off in the Middle East, would essentially give an opportunity to other countries, say, I don't know, China, an opportunity to say, hey, there's a lot going on right now. This might be the opportune time to actually take Taiwan. Now, I want to remind you, the same time that we know personal people that were saying that they were being told that they were going to be deploying, and these people, the same skeptics that said, oh, it's all an exaggeration, telling their family to prepare and to get stuff ready, those at the same time that was going on, you had us covering China filling up their coast with troops. They were moving thousands upon thousands and thousands of troops to their coastline. At the same time, they were doing drills. They were doing all of these crazy things right at that point. Mind you, also, just in the last week, they had a submarine get caught in their own trap. I still don't know if that's 100% the real story, because China essentially said that their 350-foot submarine got caught in its own submarine trap and did not want help from anybody, did not want anybody responding. They lost 55 sailors. Very, very odd. Some folks think that there was an actual interaction and maybe somebody squashed it and basically said, oh, it's, let's avoid a big conflict or something. And maybe an accidental firing, something happened. That's what people believe. The official story is they got caught in their own trap, which just sounds a little odd to me, makes them look dumb. And of course, I thought it was interesting that they were denying it. Their papers, everything else said, no, it didn't happen like that at all. And it says, in addition, the United States government will be rapidly providing the IDF with additional equipment and resources, including munitions. Now, we just covered this 3 or 4 days ago, going into Friday night, that they said NATO is at the bottom of the barrel for their warehouses, that they're actually pulling munitions and weapons and things like this from warehouses that are already basically at their end. In fact, they made a comment about how they're like, well, it would be one thing if they were pulling from full warehouses, but they're actually pulling from warehouses that are next to empty already. And now you can see the bottom of the floor. Like, there's nothing there. A lot of folks have been worried about this. Like, well, is the U.S. is stretching us thin when we do have things looming like China and Taiwan, and of course Russia and UK are, and we're helping in all these. Now, a massive event, and literally within 24 hours, they're saying they're in a major war, the same place that's been in a conflict for as long as we've been alive, now actually making it official. It just seems to me like the timing on this could not be worse and more convenient. So this is definitely a solid update. This is something that everybody needs to know about. I hope you guys share this video out with your friends and family. People need to have a basic plan. You even need to talk about having maybe an NPP if things do go south. If they don't, again, the one thing though is a neighborhood protection plan, something like that. That's something you have to do beforehand. You can't do after. So something to think about. Maybe go look it up, do some research on your own. And then several U.S. citizens have perished following these events in Is. Now, there's not so much concrete stuff, but this is Reuters saying that U.S. citizens have perished. And it does make sense. If you look at these areas, they have U.S. citizens in them. What does that mean? Dex, do you want to go over how this could literally, be an escalation in itself?
Yeah, we don't have total confirmation from the Department of State yet. They said they're looking into it, which will take them some time. But this is coming from the National Security Council, and the National Security Council did come out and say there is. And everybody sort of expected that, given the relationship that we have with the country. So it's a big deal. This is, there's a lot of things that can happen. There were people talking today about they were targeting an airport, and that airport has international flights landing in it. And if any of those planes get hit, that's going to create a bigger international incident. It's no longer just localized between these two territories or one country and this subgroup inside of its country. So yeah, this is horrible anytime anybody is lost, but as it starts to stretch into other countries and have others be affected, it gets even worse, because then you start dragging in more countries.
And somebody said there won't be any war unless people buy into the hype. Don't hype it up. So first of all, I've been knowing something like this is going to happen. I mean, we've been calling it. The patterns are there. The things, the signs leading up to this, all of the financial kind of trails have been leading to this for a long time. Even when everybody stopped covering stuff in the Middle East, we have made a point of it to point out, hey, we literally threw this story in there because we needed to keep following these two countries because they are doing these tit for tats, and it's going to lead up to something bigger. Now we are at that something bigger, surprise attack, all of this. And you could think, oh, orchestration, but whatever else. Most likely, I probably agree with you. But at the same time, what is it going up to? What is the end all goal? Saying that if, and again, I totally value your opinion on this, and I get what you're saying. So say if everybody goes, it's okay. Well, that's what is happening. Only it's happening with UKR and Russia. All of a sudden, people aren't going to have a certain flag on their profile picture. They're going to have another one. And by the way, if you're talking about buying into the hype, within 48 hours of this, we have people in the streets all over the world battling it out, because this isn't just like, I support this country because I read a book on it. This is something about religious differences and involving holy lands. This is something huge. As people pointed out, isn't this in the Bible? Yeah, a little bit. Everybody can debate about this or that, but this is something involving two of the most hardcore countries as far as this goes, and it is completely different there. We can't even fathom how it is there. I mean, we're talking about literally people separated, squashed in. Dex, go ahead.
I was going to give another example. It was just last night. They lit up the Empire State Building to the colors of Israel's flag. So, as another example of this, of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and doesn't that seem a little familiar at the very beginning of this whole other conflict that is still currently going on? What does that mean? Well, at the very least, it means bet you there's going to be a bunch of money flowing out towards this. When again, there's still people debating whether we should have sent money out to other places. Now, mind you, if this becomes a bigger priority, and at this point everybody is fed up with money going over to UKR, what happens to UKR? Well, if you believe the mainstream, they're valiantly fighting. But again, there's been clips coming out about how they've taken back at least less than 1% of what Russia took away from them. So if that's true, if they stop getting funding, or if there's something more important and then UKR starts fizzing out, what happens? Well, Russia takes UKR. And maybe Vlad could see this as an opportunity and go, okay, well, now they're distracted with that, so we're going to go roll over and steamroll this. Mind you, Poland, Romania, all of these other folks have, dragon's teeth at on their borders, 600 miles of trenches now dug in some areas. Like this, they were getting prepared for a massive conflict way before all of this went down. So the thing is, I see a world war, and I saw a world war years ago coming, and I saw that this was brewing. And people go, "Oh, you're a fearmonger, this and that." But then when it comes down to it, now it's literally going to just keep going and keep escalating, and people are going to go, don't buy into the hype. And I get where you're coming from. I'm all about positive thinking and going, hey, we need to be positive and have faith. That is something we all can individually do. Throughout all of this, if you are religious, pray for a positive outcome. Know that overall, things are going to happen as they were supposed to, at least in many of our opinions. What is there we can do? Well, we can all not buy into the hype, but unfortunately there's social media, there's this beast system that essentially will hype up people. And with this is involving religious holy lands. So there is no way that this is not going to hype up people. Once I show you, look at how people are hyped up in the street about this. There's no getting around it. And we were looking for this exact event to happen, some sort of event. And by the way, I even said it would be like a Pearl Harbor, per this. And now we'll show you here in a second, but they are actually calling this, mind you, we'll go over this here in a second. Where is that one? Jeez. They're calling it a very specific kind of event. Let's see here. Is it this? Yeah, look at this. Hamas terrorist butchers movements as stunned suffers their 1-1 event, right? If you're talking about something that would garner support to get U.S. involved in any war, it would be something involving the Holy Land, right? So we'll go back to this. We'll touch on this in just a minute. But as far as U.S. citizens being involved, obviously that's just a little piece of the pie there. And then the other side of the coin. So there's two sides of the coin. This was an interesting kind of thing just to look at. And again, I'm not taking any sides here as far as people need to go do their own research about all of this. And I believe that most people need to anyways. And I think they need to look at both sides, period, because if you are uninformed about all of this, then you can make a bigger mess of it if you do. This isn't like supporting a sports team or something. This is something way deeper than that. You have to understand that there are wrongs and rights on both sides. It's complicated. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you I am an expert on the stuff. But what you can look at, graphs like this are very interesting to look at. So Dex, do you want to explain what we're looking at here?
Yeah, certainly. This is a period of time. And I think the only reason this period of time is relevant is because the people that are living today have been through some portion of this period of time. And when I talk about a period of time, it's how from back in 1917, this area that we think of today as Israel was a different country, and it was populated with a totally different set of people because of something that happened before this timeline. The thing that happened before this timeline was the others were basically just poured out and wanted to come back to their Holy Land, and that makes total sense. But when you look at it, it's just to understand the colors that change over time. The colors are white, representing the I guess the Muslim population that was there after the Jewish population had been kicked out back in the earlier days, Roman Empire, etc. But then over time, how they've been compressed into these tight areas and didn't even have much control, or in some areas they have more control because they do get along. But the point is, it's just you understanding why they are mad. Okay, doesn't mean that they're right, and it doesn't mean that the others are right. And I'm not trying to take sides, because the point is, there's two sets of people here that want their land back, and that's the struggle, right? You've got one set that was there for this recent time period that have lost their land and they're angry, and you've got another set of people that have been brought back to their homeland and rightfully, in their mind, taking their homeland. And that's probably near and dear to most people in our audience's heart, because we come from either Christianity or Judaism, and that's what we understand. But there's a lot of people that in the rest of the world that look at this from the other side, and that's why it's such a divided area and a divided topic, and that's why it's also such a hotbed for hostility.
It's cut down the middle. It's not a sports team. People are on this side or that side. It's cut and dry. So as far as this area too, if you look at GAZA, if you look at this area, it is one of the most densely populated places on Earth. Dex, can you give us the what is it per square meter?
I have 5,500 people per square kilometer. And to give an example, in the city of Seattle, like the proper city of Seattle, like where the densest part is, it's only like 3,300 people. So that's a very dense area. It's only 140 square kilometers, I think that strip area is. And it's also the home of the people that have, I guess, the most consternation or the most conflict with the other side. If you look at this map, you've got this sort of roundish area over to the right. It's called the West Bank. The people that live there are from a different religion, but they agree to live together. They agree to accept that they both can have the same area and live together. And they have their own controls, their own ruling, but it's different. But in that strip that's very tightly packed and tightly controlled, it's a whole lot of people that don't want anyone else there. And they're also controlled by the group that just did the attack. And if that makes sense, I'm trying not to use some certain buzzwords, but that's just to kind of help you understand the framework of why and what's happening here.
And down below, here's Egypt. Down here, they have a system of tunnels that they can move things in and out. Up here, there is actually a wall, which it is like, they transport things. It's one way through here, one way through there. It's something out of like World War Z, right? Like a checkpoint, huge giant walls. And they check everything as it goes in and out. Like this is a very, very intense place in general. But how tightly packed so many people are in, it's most definitely, this is something that is a huge deal that this is even happening in the first place. And then a spokesperson says that Iran gave support for this attack. This is, again, a spokesman saying this from the group that it is, and saying that this country ended up giving support. Now, the timing, of course, people want to argue and go down this road or that road, but the fact is, everybody knows publicly there was just this big deal where 5 people were traded for 5 people, and on top of that, I don't know if you guys have seen this interview, but a reporter asked John Kirby and says, I think it's John Kirby, right? Yeah, John Kirby, and says, hey, so we gave them 5 people and they gave us 5 people. So what was the necessity of us also throwing on $6 billion? And he said, well, yeah, hey, look, I would love it if we just had 5 people for 5 people, but, we needed to get these people, and, that's just not how it works. So we gave them, we unfroze $6 billion. That $6 billion Of course, now instantly people are going to attribute that to helping and possibly funding something, this and that. So I'm not going to go down all these roads because we don't know over the next couple of days what they're going to end up saying. Oh, this is that, or this is fake, or that's this. We're just saying the timing of this absolutely looks ludicrous. I mean, it's just many folks believe that we're getting, you're standing by the door and somebody's just kicking their butt right into conflict. Mind you, conflict can make a whole lot of money for certain people. Again, it's there. And then it says us, ha, and ma, may have taken up to 100 hostages into the Strip. Now, this number is changing. It's rearranging. We don't know what the actual number is. We've heard way, way higher numbers. We've heard lower numbers. Either way, what they're saying is that people are being snatched up, brought in. There's videos of all sorts of other things. There's videos of young wee ones being put into... okay, we don't know what's true right now. But one thing we do know is this is what they are saying. This is what they are saying, that there are videos out there to back up parts of these things, and there's tons and tons of video footage, which, again, you know what the crazy part is in the future, now people will still believe, like, oh, I know it's true because we've seen videos of it. But now that we have AI, we have all of these crazy things that can be possible. Who knows what will be truth in the future? Dex, go ahead.
If you take that price tag you talked about earlier for trading people that are held in this type of position, that's about $120 billion.
Yeah. Oh, no. I know. Yeah, exactly. As far as the difference. And then, Dex, do you want to talk about the message from the I country here?
Yeah, so and this is a longer story, guys. It's on the website, so go read it if you want to go into detail. But I think the real point that we need to make here and understand here is that the connection with this organization that launched this attack and this country, Iran, and the fact that they were, in their parliament chanting these things, they were celebrating. They are, as we just read in the article before, they gave support for it. We know that they support through numerous times. It's been reported in the media over and over again that they do support financially these organizations that want to get is out of that area and want to restore what we refer to that original map we showed you. They have that opposite opinion. So this country is paramount for funding this. This country is paramount for controlling and creating these organizations like the one that just did the attack. And that's what this sort of adds more credence to that. So if you're unaware, that's what this is about.
Another factoid that I thought was just on a side note is extremely interesting is the population is very young in the Strip. It says almost 40% of the population is under the age of 15. So you can understand why this is going to be a super, super touchy thing, period. If you think about if an area is hit, 40% of that area could be youngins. Like this is going to be big. And I knew when CV was in the very infancy. I knew before, 5 months before, the drilling and the exercises, the tabletops, all of the different things that were going on. I knew. With this, I know that this is going to be way bigger than people are going to get sideswiped by this. When you guys, all of our audience in our community, even if you somewhat don't, you're not going to be surprised. Even if you don't agree, like, oh, this isn't going to be war. You're not going to be sideswiped by an actual, world war happening. You're not going to be surprised by it. That's for sure. Almost everybody here, I could say surveys could give you this number, that number, but 100% of us would not be surprised by a world war right now. I think that would be safe to say, right? And as far as the conditions to build this, they have been building for a very long time. This is something that, of course, many people have seen building for ever. And the JB admin clears the way for the prisoner swap deal, lifts the freeze on the $6 billion. Of course, the timing is just horrendous. And what's the irony? Just by the way, I just want to point out the date on this. Right, this was done when this was cleared, this is what many people are pointing out. Just the irony, the sheer irony that on the anniversary of an event that again was our essentially our September event, funded $6 billion, and now they are calling this event theirs, right? This is their 2001 event. So it's just, it's absolutely nuts, the amount of craziness going on right now. Speaking of craziness, I'm only going to show you a couple clips of this, and this is crazy. So this is Fort Lauderdale, which I've actually been to Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale is like, this is a retired town. All of the signs are 4 times the size they need to be for the retired folks. It's also a spring breaker kind of town. But this is folks in the street, and it gets crazy. There are probably, I don't know, 200, 300 people. People are exchanging blows in the street. People are people are supporting both sides of this. People are cheering on even the side that just did this event. This isn't just a one-off event. You, of course, have a pro event underway in New York City, saying stand with these guys and the occupation now. Mind you, people are going to pick one side or the other. And by the way, many people who cannot point to any of these areas on the map are going to be just absolutely vitriol and saying, I support this, even though they have maybe read a couple articles on this and know just, barely basics. I would consider myself, and I've covered this stuff for 5 years, I would consider myself somebody who knows the basics. Basics. Okay, I'm not an expert. I think I am an expert at seeing the patterns, because I think all of us are at this point. We can see when things are building up. We can see the BS. We can see when something doesn't seem right. I can see that much. With this is absolutely this is giant, beyond giant, and it's yet another thing that is going to divide people 100%. There is no other option on this. This is downtown Montreal. They are celebrating once again what most people are shouting out, heinous acts by the other side. So you could see how this is quickly going to get to blows. This is quickly going to get to unrest. And that's exactly what is happening right now. Dex, this is again multiple places all around. This is the United Kingdom. It's all over the world. This is happening, and it's as it's unfolding. There's updates on an hourly basis of somewhere else that is doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it has also been reported that police have in major cities like New York and DC and other locations all around, all the major cities have increased their police presence at synagogues and places like that where they might expect to see something could happen. And I think that's, what does it mean to us? When I say us, I'm talking about most of the people here who are in the United States that aren't over there, that aren't, what it means to them is horrific. But what it means to us is we actually can see this in our streets. We can, we may see all sorts of things happening in even escalations beyond just fist fighting in the streets. And that's what is probably more scary and near and dear to a lot of folks here. And sorry to change the subject real quick, Adam. Did you just shake? Because there was a 4.5 in Seattle, and I don't know if it happened to you a few minutes ago, if you felt it or not.
Okay, I was about to check on. I was about to check upstairs. My light fell. Oh.
Yeah, you guys had a 4.5.
I don't know. So I do know. I don't know. You guys can see it earlier in the show. My light just went. You can probably see it in the background, actually. I don't know. Yeah. You'll be able to see right here. You guys will
Yeah.
have to rewind, but I noticed it. You'll see me. You can probably scroll and like, what do they call that? You can rewind back and see where it goes.
Scrub it.
Scrub. Yeah. So let's get this done. Okay. So I'm in an area, but it says Southport Townsend. So, but either way, if there's a for anything around here, we got to be on our P's and Q's. Just a side note, besides what's going on right now, well, yeah, and if something hits like that would be scary. But as far as earthquake, make sure to look up my videos on Cascadia subduction zone. If you are on the West Coast, or if you have family members on the West Coast, please educate yourself about Cascadia subduction zone. We will have a 9.0 earthquake like Japan. If you take Japan, we will have that on the West Coast. Only it's going to be from Canada to California. I'll leave it there. Most of you guys have heard me rant all about it. But yeah, that's freaky. I am on, like, I literally, because I am sitting here all day, I'm on this. These things are awesome, by the way, but I don't feel like the vibrations because I'm on a jelly thing. I saw that light collapse and I'm like, what the heck just happened there? All right. Dex, the exchange and
Yeah. So if we,
older article.
so what we were talking about earlier, if you guys remember that little map, we talked about the strip, that little thin area. That's where the other organization that begins with the letter H was attacking from, in sort of the south area. That's where they were. That's where they're based. This organization is actually based up north, north of the entire country of Is, up in Lebanon, and that area is now starting to engage. So where Adam is circling on the screen that begins with a G, that's where they started from. The first organization, the second organization's up north. If this escalates more in the sense that we now have two different groups coming in, that's a much bigger escalation. The key point, this particular organization, again, is also backed by Iran. And this organization has also been seen in our own country. That's not new news. That's old news. We've known this for a long time. There are potential of this organization here. I think the next article talks specifically about a prior arrest and conviction of people that were in those types of sleeper situations here. So that's another thing when we think about, hey, is it not just, skirmishes in the streets over people with differing opinions? We actually have people that may be here that may actually take action up against the United States and do it on our own territory. So we need to sort of pay attention and be very vigilant about what's going on around us right now, because we're maybe moving into a much different time as it relates to how things escalate from those countries in the ME.
Yeah, eyes open. And as far as this is an older 2017 article, but points out that group obviously has that going on. Well, if you look at the last 2 years and what has been going on in the United States and down south, they have actually come out. The DHS and, of course, the Border Patrol has talked about how, in fact, was it Iran that had 1 in every 100 folks coming over was a
tied to a group that was funded by the I country. Yeah. And the reason why we talk about this group, HEZ, versus the HA is mostly just organized there, and they don't really do anything outside. But the HEZ group does stuff worldwide, including in the US. That's why they're more important to pay attention to. At least that's what they tell us. It's not a lot that they give us.
Yeah. So as far as the real numbers, again, that's out of 1 out of every 100 people from that country, they say, are a sleeper or somebody that are tied to that. Again, we don't know about all the numbers that are not caught, right? And that goes for any country that is against the United States right now. Out of all times in history, if there were to be another September type event, I mean, heck, look at the last 2 years and the numbers that have just been pouring in. One fact that I cannot shake is how many military age men are coming from certain countries. and you look at the same countries that these military-age men are coming from, these are all the countries where their leaders are meeting with Vlad, they're meeting with Xi, they're meeting with South Africa, they're meeting with North Korea, they're meeting with Cuba, they're meeting with Brazil, they're meeting with all of these different places, Venezuela. How can people not see this coming from a mile away? Like I've said, Austin Powers with the guy in the steamroller. Like, that's how I feel about World War III. World War III is not the end of the world. For anybody that's new, or if I got shared with you through some way or another, and I hope people do share this out. World War III is not the end of the world. It is the start of the new one. And the new one we are not going to like. The new one, you will have less human everything. So I hope that people are paying attention to this, and there might be this side or that side, or you think this is right and that's wrong. I don't think any of us are going to have all the answers to what's going on right now. But one thing I do know from, by the way, we have so many military members in the audience right now. If you think that we have this many military members here, active, retired, and reserves in our audience right now, and you think that we're not, at least getting a tiny bit of information from, I don't know what to say. There are a lot of active, retired military right now, and they've known this. We've known this for, years, but for the last year, we have known that something big was coming. You guys feel it in your guts. Even if you don't agree with me, you most likely feel like something big is coming. That would be a survey in itself. And those surveys are incredible. If I say, hey, just no specifics, do you feel like something big is coming? It's like 90-something%. So we all feel it coming. It is not the end. In my opinion, I think it is the start. And if you don't see everything that's going on around us, then I feel for you. Because I think that once you wake up, it's going to be the hardest alarm to snooze. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be waking up hungover in some strange place next to somebody strange. It's going to be one of those mornings, only it's going to be your life. So, by the way, this survey we did, I'll update this because it had 1,000 votes. Now it's up to almost 1,200. About 60% believe that the world just went into World War III officially. Now, those same people probably believed we were already started already. But officially, like when Netanyahu said, we're at war, that video is going to be in history. Realize that. The things that we're watching right now and the things that we're looking at, those things are going to become history. Dex, do you want to talk about what you found through a bunch of surveys you actually did today? And I'll show those on screen.
Yeah, certainly. So first off, was one of the first questions is what people thought was the primary factor. Was it failure in intelligence or was it something else? And I'm not going to say what that something else is. You can see it on the screen there. It's surprising that like 70% of the people don't actually think that, or don't believe in the failure in an intelligence story. They think it's something else. So take that for what it's worth. Asking if people thought that $6 billion was provided and had some sort of effect on this, and of course, 83% said yes. Do you see a correlation between the fact that our Congress was reducing funds for UKR, and now we are onsetting a new conflict? And about 63% said yes, and a decent number, 36%, said no. They are just unrelated. That's kind of interesting. And then considering the recent events, how soon do you think the U.S. will increase aid? And Adam pointed out it didn't give a choice of nothing, but so they had to force to say something. But as a matter of fact, we already know. I think they said it was announced they're going to be announcing in the coming days what the package is going to be coming from our military. So those who said within the next week are probably right, and that's 58%. And then if this is the interesting one, and the one that goes back to what does it matter to us? Like how is this going to affect us? Aside from the people in the street, aside from sleepers, the other thing we have to be thinking about is gas and oil. And so if the I country is involved and they escalate, especially the Strait of Hormuz, and then things stop shipping and it starts to slow down the movement of oil, this will go from sub 100 a barrel. It's probably going to go to 100 a barrel really quickly. It's going to be over 150 a barrel. And we're going to see skyrocketing. I'm not talking about painful prices. I'm talking about very painful prices at the gas pump, something that will be very hard for us to want to deal with. And it will all of a sudden make things like those electric vehicles look so much better. Imagine why they would want that to happen. Imagine what programs are in place or trying to be put in place that would benefit from that happening. And then the last question is, do you believe there are individuals like that in the US? And of course, a lot of people said yes, 90 something, 94%. So very interesting. That's what I had.
And thank you for letting me know. This is my screen name. Thank you. I did not know that. My mic was low. Thank you. Dat Tablet said 4.9 over Port Townsend. That's a little bit far for me, I believe. I don't know if I would feel that, but one thing was for sure, that thing shook, and that thing's got a solid grip on it. Stephen J says, I am currently serving, said, I'm paraphrasing because now it's past, said, get stuff ready. That's all I can say. Stephen J, if you want to tell us any other, and there's other military, there's a lot of retired. I don't know how many active duty like Stephen J are in the crowd. Obviously not. We're not asking you to sink ships or anything, but if there is a general thing like get ready now, I don't think could hurt anybody. And I think here's what I hope is more active duty military do tell their friends and family. So just to get ready, have prep, because when it does come from them, it's a lot better. If it comes from your friend that that watches YouTube videos or whatever, or if you share stuff with them all the time on Facebook, and then one time, all it takes is if you share one video and it ends up being debunked, that person has wrote you off. That's why I'm very careful about what I send my friends. If I do say something to my friends, I make sure I'm careful. And even then, I told them about CV. Luckily, they prepared for that. But if you share one thing that you think, oh, it's going to happen. If you share those dates, like, oh, on the 22nd, the whole world's going to dissolve, that kind of stuff, they write you off their list. You can send them however many videos, how many articles, they will not listen to you. So be careful what you send your friends. I wouldn't say the end of the world is coming next week. What I would say, though, is the message of responsibility. Prepping is a responsible thing. Having a plan. Somebody said, what is an NPP? Said it earlier. NPP, and by the way, this is something that you do over months or years, is you is a neighborhood protection plan. So if you are in a neighborhood, you will be surprised to find how many other people are actually open to a neighborhood protection plan. It's basically a defense that you set up with your neighbors. In the event of an SHTF, you actually find like-minded individuals and you make a plan for things that go south. It is something that does not work after the fact. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, next week we're all going to perish. It's more like there's a good chance, or even if there is a single chance, there are people all around you in your neighborhood, I guarantee it, that would totally be down to talk about through the potential scenarios of having a neighborhood protection plan, working it out. There are neighborhoods that have done this during CV and during the riots and things that happen. The people in the neighborhoods that had NPPs. We had some here locally. There were some neighborhoods in Bellevue where they had checkpoints and things set up, and it wasn't like a police checkpoint. It was neighborhoods like going, hey, you're not coming in here unless you live here, kind of thing. That's an NPP type of thing. And those are the areas that already had them from previous events. And they have paid off time and time again. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It could be something like that where something spills over to your neighborhood and you protect yourselves. That's what an MPP is. And that's what many of us have done with our neighbors. So it's something that you can plan all year round. It can be fun. It can be a hobby. It can be something that is just like neighborhood watch, only it's a little bit more, a little bit higher than that. And you can do it for storms or disasters or anything else. Earthquakes, if we have an earthquake here, we have a plan for that. We take care of it. We take care of our own. We take care of our families. We take care of our friends. So, yeah. So let's see here. If the audio is bad, I don't know why. So I apologize about that. Dex, is the audio? Is it something
it's
wrong?
fine.
Okay.
It's fine in my ear.
Okay. So, regardless of that, let's see here. Also, make sure we're independent, we're on our own. We have great affiliates. All of the products that we pick these are all things that we believe in, that we use on a regular basis, and that we believe will either save your life or make your life easier during a disaster. We're focused on prep. So all of our affiliates are prep items. This is one of the best solar generators out there. Why you would want to go solar, it's kind of easy to see right now. Obviously, if something happens, gas stations, things like this will be an absolute nightmare. If you don't have space to have 10 barrels of gasoline or the money to have 10 barrels of gasoline to get through a year grid down, then something like this is a great, great plan. As far as this goes, you can plug it into solar panels and get power indefinitely from the sun. That is what's so cool about these. They don't have as much maintenance as a gas engine. Obviously, they are quiet. That is what's cool. Just like you see the Tesla rolling down the street, absolutely silent. That's what these are. So again, nobody's going to know from 3 blocks away you have a generator going. So again, go over and check these out. They're expandable. That's the cool part. This can be modded however you want. Just like Lego bricks, they can actually add and expand up to 96 batteries. So just like that, you have a bigger, better generator. You have a UPS system if you want it. They have the UPS rapid charger, which also doubles if you want to charge this from the wall, can charge at 1,200 watts per hour. So you get a full 1,000 watt brick charged in about 34 or 35 minutes. Insanely fast. That way you have power, you can run out, you can power your tools out in the field. You can use these for everything. So go over to marfooglenews.com/energy. Not only are you going to save money, you're going to help independent news like us. Every video you see like this, we research, put together, have the bibliography ready for you that day. So we appreciate it. We are not treated equally. Obviously, we're covering a lot of controversial stuff. So make sure to go over and show some love and get yourself prepped at the same time. Thank you guys. Love you. And again, thank you for everybody in the chat. Dex, final words.
Use this as an opportunity to prep up on your supplies, and or use this as an opportunity to help bring other people into the idea of being prepared. This is definitely a topic that will have a lot of attention, and it should make it easy for you to help convince some of those naysayers in your family or your close friends that you really would want to see prepping, so that they're not standing at your door when SHTF happens and you're the only one that's going to feed them.
Exactly. These kind of things obviously get everybody on their toes. There's going to be your friends that say, oh, it's going to be a nothing burger. My belief is in the next 8 months that no matter how this goes or that goes, that we're going to know it's not a nothing burger. So again, make sure to go subscribe to us on all of our channels. You can find it on marfooglenews.com. You, of course, can find everything that we just shared here today. Thank you again. I believe we had 5,000 here, so thank you. Thank you, MX9. Says this is all planned. MX9, I'm sure there are a lot that share that same sentiment. Regardless of whether you think it is or not, it's about time people start waking up to the BS going on all around them. Thank you, guys. Much love. Thank you, Dex. I appreciate your service tonight.
Great job, brother. Much love.
And also thank the mods. If there were 5,000 in chat, it gets pretty crazy. You can go over and support them at marfooglenews.com/friends. All of the mods have their own channels /books on Amazon. Chance has great books over on his Amazon link. Great artwork. Again, there's tons of great people down there. Go show them some love and go support. Also, we have a great list of friends that are also YouTubers. So make sure to go check out their channels as well. Thank you guys. Much love. Be safe. Be prepared, and Marf out. And remember, again, anything that we shared here, there was a couple things there. We're not sharing this or that because we believe in this or that. Things like this, we're literally showing you graphs, information that would be interesting, useful, this or that. But we do not claim, that we're on either side. If there's a website, this or that, that's the opposite of this, we're just showing you the straight info. So thank you guys. Love you. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. Bring me an angel and I'll show you that they sing. Most of you didn't.